Страшно ведь подумать даже, представляешь? Не говори.
One can be laid out horizontal, vertical package. So this one. Do you recognize it? Okay, so it's actually Canon D. I borrowed a little bit here, but I turned it into a waltz because no real reason except that I like to vary the time signature a lot throughout these kinds of exercises, so that especially in triple meters, because that does not exist on the radio. In case you haven't noticed, it's in that music. So triple meters is really important so that when they get to the classical pieces, you know, they have some sense of what it is and they have it in there. So I just do it in little ways like this.
Такая же фигня. Ну идея, ну. Вот это он и есть, наверное. Слышно половину звуков вообще нету. Ну хорошо, ладно. понимаешь? Неужто? Ничего не... А что надо,
They are going to be playing,
ну нет, понял.
making as interesting music as they can using only Ds. That's their challenge, it's a little challenge for them. The point is they're going to have to do really interesting rhythm patterns to try and make it sound good. They can use any Ds, and this will just get them used to playing Ds and get them used to the idea of improvising and having some fun together at the piano. So that's it for lesson 1. I'll see you back here for lesson 2. not be able to articulate those reasons, they may not have something specific in mind, others will. So having that goal chat right at the start of lessons is really important. Asking them what made them decide to seek you out, look for lessons. Make sure to keep it friendly and conversational, but find out why they decided to come for lessons in the first place. If they wanted to learn something specific, you're going to be able to work towards that. If they wanted to learn a specific style, you can work towards that. If they just want general piano education, that's fine too, but you need to know right at the start. I also like to have a quick chat with the adult student at this lesson about the balance of notation and non-notation, because it's an area of some debate within the adult student. So some may have an idea that learning different music is too hard and they don't want to try it. Some may have an idea in their head that rhythm music is not for them because they want to play pop. That's not necessarily the case either. But some people may think that they don't want to raise the notation behind it all, and I want to dissuade them from that too. Most adult students can benefit from a wide approach, and having a little chat about how simple music notation really is and how it's a worthwhile goal if it suits.
Какая интересная штучка. Ну наоборот, или да, популизм, что ли?
There are rare occasions when I smile when I laugh. And for me, to hear it,
Желательно.
it's as if something similar to a joke. I cannot take this statement serious. When hearing the situation, hearing the statements at first, you just think to yourself that this person has been in leadership positions for so many years, and this person is supposed to have a very clear understanding of what Ukrainian people are because of the Soviet legacy. But I think that currently Putin is an information bubble. I think this is information bunker, and it is so powerful, this bunker of information, that he really thinks that Ukrainians are neo-Nazis. So this is a laughable statement for me. But then a strike of fear resurfaces. I'm not afraid of anything except for people. But the fact is that if he is serious about his statements, he might be capable of very horrendous steps. Because that would mean that this is not a game for him. If he really believes in this, if it's not a game, then we will just continue fighting against it. If it's a game, but if it's not a game, if he's serious about it, if he thinks that this is his mission to conquer our territories, and if he sees signs of neo-Nazism in our country, then many questions emerge about what else he is capable of doing for the sake of his ambitions and for the sake of his mission. So this one gives rise to a feeling which is not very pleasant and which is very frightening, very hazardous, that it can be an information bubble which will continue to exert pressure, and it will pressurize Putin to further escalation.
Can I ask you something about your family Simeon, was the only survivor out of the Holocaust and World War II. Tell us a little bit about that, and what was the lesson, what are the values you drew from it when you would hear those stories in your family?
Well, my grandfather and his four brothers were living in an ordinary village. And then the Second World War started. My grandfather was graduating from military college at that time, and all of his brothers went to war because their father said that they had to protect the country. They had to fight masses, so they went to war, and all the brothers died. And my grandfather survived the entire war. His father and his mother were killed in a terrible fire. The Nazis set ablaze the entire village where they lived and where my grandfather was born. All the brothers perished in the front line. He was alone to be left standing. He returned home. He ended up in the city of QIWI-Wallet, where I was born. He was a captain of an infantry unit. He was awarded with a number of military orders, like a Red Cross, like a Red Star, for his heroism and his bravery. He was wounded at war, and after the war, he started working as an investigator, catching criminals, and eventually he became a colonel in independent Ukraine. So that is basically his life story. So when Russians are telling about neo-Nazis and they turn to me, I just reply that I have lost my entire family in the war, because all of them were exterminated during World War II. A number of my distant relatives are still living. Some of them are in the United States, in Poland, or in Israel. That is what I know. So basically, that is all. So Nazism in our family evokes a huge amount of misunderstanding. So we do not understand what they are talking about. What kind of Nazis in the country? We fought a war with... In what front lines did their grandfathers fought? Countries their grandfathers liberated? How their grandfathers fought in Nazi Germany? I have this question to them. When some politicians in Russian Federation are raising this topic of neo-Nazism, Nazism, fascism related to me, I have a question that, well, my biography is open. And everything, everyone is well aware about my biography. You can find facts about my family and open sources. But what about the relatives of Russians? I do not know about anything about their relatives of Russians who fought in the Second World War. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, for more than 70 days, he resisted the offensive of Nazis. Who fought their way into fighting now. It has always been fighting. created their resistance. And I know many people in Russia who were occupied and who struggled against Hitler's regime. But Kiev was occupied, and Moscow was not. Or you cannot say, they cannot just say about their feelings that Ukraine is a betrayer, or that we are neo-Nazis, because Russians are acting in the same manner as neo-Nazis at the moment. If you take a look at the history, at scientific materials, you can just look at what Nazis did. They blockaded Kiev, they blockaded other cities to prevent the supplies of water and food, and this is exactly what Russians are doing now. This is what they are doing in Mariupol. They are just going to the city saying that everything is going to be alright, and that this is Russian territory. They're just claiming it, so their methods have remained unchanged. And the fact is that they are betraying the history of their own homeland. Because what we are having now in Mariupol, in Kyiv, they had the same in Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg, formerly known as Leningrad. Everyone knows how many people died during the blockade of Leningrad. These people did not have enough food and water. This is exactly what is happening in Ukraine. So who is the Nazi?
Ладно, хватит врать, так громкие слова же просто. Ну так.
President Zelensky, welcome to the show.
Greetings to you all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you.
President Biden has called Vladimir Putin a war criminal. And yet, you have called for negotiations with him. Will it be hard, will it be painful for you to have to sit down with Putin, were he to agree, and negotiate with him?
I'm ready for negotiations with him. I was ready over the last 2 years. And I think that without negotiations we cannot end this war. I think that all the people who think that this dialogue is shallow and that it is not going to resolve anything, they just don't understand that this is very valuable. If there is just 1% chance for us to stop this war, I think that we need to take this chance. We need to do that. I can tell you about the result of this negotiation. So, in any case, we're losing people on a daily basis, innocent people on the ground. Russian forces have come to exterminate us, kill us. And we can demonstrate that the dignity of our people and our army, that we are able to deal a powerful blow. We're able to strike back. But unfortunately, our dignity is not going to preserve the lives. So I think that we have to use any format, any chance in order to have the possibility of negotiating, the possibility of talking to Putin. But if these attempts fail, that would mean that this is a third world war.
You know the Russian demands. They want you to recognize that Crimea is part of Russia, that the two republics in the Donbass are independent republics. They want a guarantee, perhaps in the Ukrainian constitution, that Ukraine will never be a member of NATO. Are you willing to make those compromises?
have not greeted Russian soldiers with a bunch of flowers. They have greeted them with bravery. They have greeted them with weapons in their hands. So forcibly, you cannot make yourself a friend. You cannot curry favor with the citizens of another country forcibly. You cannot just make a president of another country to recognize
Ну так и есть,
anything
наверное, может
by
так и
use
есть.
of force. So everything that they are doing is not just about politics. It's about reality. They have made their way to Kherson region. The people are feeling hatred towards. Demand from Ukraine to recognize some territories as independent republics. These compromises are simply wrong. I cannot recognize, firstly, as a president, secondly, as a citizen, and thirdly, you cannot force people to love the enemy. That's impossible. What you can do is to make a pause and just decide on how we are going to live further on. What has to be done in order to put an end to the war, to prevent further wars, and how to find an approach to these territories which are temporarily occupied. This is a very difficult matter because part of these territories were occupied. They have been brainwashing people and children on who they are. They've been telling them that they have preserve their lives. They have been telling lies that Ukrainians are fascists. They have been filling their heads with lies for many years. And it's very difficult because of that. Ukraine will not lose its sovereignty, its territorial integrity. We cannot concede to it. But still, we have to find a model of understanding to prevent further wars between our territories we control and temporarily occupied territories. So whatever the discussions that we have in our negotiating delegations, I think that it's just on the two of us, me and Putin, who can make an agreement on this. The second story is related to ultimatums that cannot be there, emanating from one country to another country. On this. The second story is related to ultimatums that cannot be there, emanating from one country to another country. I mean, in general, and concretely in terms of Russia's ultimatums to Ukraine. And there cannot be any ultimatums from any country whatsoever to another country, regardless of the army it has, regardless of finance, regardless of the size of the economy, because it's international law. It's about respect the sovereignty of each country. Therefore, dialogue is the only way out. It is the dialogue that we have to resolve the matter of security guarantees for Ukraine. We do not want to give any country a possibility to attack us. Today's Russian Federation, hopefully any other country will not be willing to attack Ukraine's independence. But still, you can see that Belarus launched rockets against Ukraine at the very beginning. Therefore, that's a matter on the table right now. Therefore, NATO could be a source of guarantees for Ukraine, but we are not accepted as a member of NATO. So Ukraine has to seek for other security guarantees from individual countries. That could be NATO members. That is what we are proposing. A number of leaders of world's countries could be the source of guarantees for Ukraine. They could be part of this circle of powerful countries. That is what we can talk about. Security guarantees for Ukraine.
Ну да, по руту, когда не писать.
Moving on to Kiev, where people have witnessed their homes bombed to the ground. People who still remember the Second World War.
Yaroslavna Filionenko has been sitting outside her apartment since the early morning hours. She's waiting for someone to pick her up after the apartment she has been living for decades was shelled overnight.
This is it. One room, another small one, and a kitchen. That's what it was.
It was 5 a.m. when a shell hit the house.
Это тоже, кстати, важно. Ладно, молчаливая толпа, это типа того. Да, понимаю. Но он понял тебя просто, да. Ладно.
There was a loud bang, and then immediately some kind of white smoke that burned in the eyes and the throat. And then I heard the firefighters in the corridor saying, "Don't go out, the staircase is gone." So they had me climb down on a firefighter's ladder.
Cleaning up some of the debris, but it's hard to imagine people will ever be able to live here again. Authorities are saying that at least one person died in the attack. Many more have lost everything they had. Yaroslavna is 83 years old. This is the second war she has experienced. Her early childhood memories are of World War II.
I feel very bad. I'm tired. My head hurts badly. Why do I have to live through this? I just want some rest.
Her relative is on
по-моему,
his way to
да.
pick her up.
Ладно уж,
Then she will have to start all over again.
Ну нет, это у нас преувеличение, значит? Ну, значит, преувеличили. Государственный язык такой не стоит.
As ever more people flee Ukraine's war zones, some are finding refuge in Slovakia. But they remain concerned for the loved ones they left behind.
The Vyshnenemika border crossing point, in the very east of Slovakia. More and more refugees from Ukraine are arriving here, mostly women and children, as well as old people. Able-bodied men must stay and fight in Ukraine. Helpers have set up a few tents here so that
Every 10 minutes, volunteers come here and ask what do we need. But for now, we need everything we need. It's safety and warmth and some food.
The other refugees are also relieved to have made it across the border, but they are very concerned about their families at home. And this 15-year-old says that instead of fleeing, he would rather confront the Russian aggressor.
I think if someone give me a gun, I will stay in Ukraine and take a fight. Because I think, yes, everything is need to fight and protect our country.
Outside, people are queuing to be registered by the Slovak authorities. Volunteers hand out hot drinks, groceries, and some medicines if needed. With their homeland at war and an uncertain future ahead of them, many refugees are crossing the border to Slovakia in Vyshnenemika.
Germany is also taking in refugees from Ukraine. Many are arriving in Berlin, where they're helped by volunteers. But the helpers themselves need help.
Safe at last, far from the war. The Ukrainian refugees at this shelter arrived in Berlin a few days ago. Traumatized and exhausted, very few were willing to talk to us. One woman from the besieged city of Kharkiv told us she finally managed to get some sleep after arriving here. She can't hold back her tears. My sister is still there. She lives in an apartment block on the 8th floor. She told me she'll never leave. She'd rather die there. Bombs and missiles are raining down on the city. About 140 people have found temporary shelter here. They're being cared for, in part by an NGO that operates shelters like these. Its manager tells us time is of the essence in this crisis. I got a call at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning to say that people would be moving in that day. My colleagues worked like crazy, in constant shifts, to get everything ready. 2 buses arrived carrying refugees in the course of the day, and we thought that was it. But by evening, another bus pulled up to our door with no advance notice. After arriving at Berlin's central train station, people are taken to their accommodation. More than 10,000 refugees from Ukraine are arriving every day. The city has sounded the alarm, saying it can't cope. The government is working on a plan to coordinate the distribution of refugees, but all of Germany's states have pledged to take people in. I just want to say thank you to Germany for helping us in this situation. And I will try to help the country in any way I can.
Детей
It will
рожает
take time to
сразу.
settle refugees across Germany. Until then, Berlin will have to continue rolling out the help for new arrivals.
Граждан долго... Ну еще нет, что ли?
What do a hero from colonial times and a South African rapper have in common? Evgeniy Maratovich is a direct descendant of Nama chief Hendrik Witbooi, and the musician wants to draw on that heritage.
And so it's so important for our people to have that, the rock from which we were cut.
The 77%. Next on DW. A joyride through fascinating worlds and to uncharted depths. Our guides know their way around. A strictly scientific trip to some pretty wacky places. Curiosity is required. Tomorrow Today. In 60 minutes on DW. These places in Europe are smashing all the records. Step into a bold adventure. It's the treasure map for modern globetrotters.
Businesses are bracing for big numbers of Kiwis to head offshore hugely during the pandemic. As Gubaev reports, they're preparing for more tough times ahead.
MIQ's winding down. Travel's becoming much easier. So is the big OE, and employers are nervous.
Finding that talent is a big thing for our clients, and then retaining them is equally a big problem. And of course, with the borders opening, I think what we're going to see is a major exodus out of New Zealand.
And they're ready to spread their wings and fly. So unfortunately, we're going to get another crunch. There will be definitely an exodus.
It'll come after tough times for hospitality.
Look, it's just unbelievable. I mean, look, our sector is super hard.
And it's hard for others too.
You know, I think employers overseas know that New Zealanders are hungry to travel.
One of the big banks is warning there's a big risk of people leaving this year, with the Australian labour market tipped to heat up significantly.
I think that goes without saying. A lot of candidates are looking to move to Australia.
And jobs there are readily advertised here. The Trucking Association wants relaxed borders to be matched with relaxed immigration rules. Hospitality wants the same.
Exactly, trying to do their best, and the bad apples make the headlines, and so they build this huge fortress, Immigration New Zealand fortress, which just makes it almost impossible to get something done in a timely manner.
Their fear is workers leaving could happen much sooner. Gubaev Wilson, One News.
évidemment.
Pas question de...
Pris samedi dans Mariupol, les Russes peinent à progresser dans cette cité portuaire stratégique. Dans ce message diffusé par le ministère de la Défense, ils appellent les soldats ukrainiens à déposer les armes.
Nous demandons aux autorités officielles de Kiev d'être raisonnables et d'annuler les instructions données précédemment qui obligeaient les militants à se sacrifier et à devenir les martyrs de Mariupol.
Un ultimatum rejeté par l'Ukraine qui refuse de parler de reddition ou de déposer les armes. Pilonnée sans relâche depuis 19 jours, Mariupol a des allures de ville fantôme. Une école d'art où 400 personnes étaient réfugiées a été bombardée. On ignore pour le moment le bilan de cette attaque. 80% des infrastructures seraient endommagées ou détruites. Les rues sont jonchées de cadavres. Et la plupart des 400 000 habitants sont piégés sur place dans le froid, sans accès à l'électricité. Cette femme s'est réfugiée dans une cave depuis 11 jours.
On cuisine à l'aide d'un feu. Pour l'instant, nous avons de la nourriture et du bois, mais dans une semaine, nous n'aurons plus rien. Qu'allons-nous faire?
Les Nations Unies dénoncent une situation humanitaire extrêmement grave. Les habitants sont confrontés à une pénurie potentiellement mortelle d'eau et de nourriture.
Voilà pour la situation à Mariupol, des images de Kiev à présent, qui subit également des bombardements ce dimanche soir. Regardez cette frappe qui a détruit un centre commercial du nord-ouest de la capitale. Ça, c'était donc dans la soirée d'hier soir. Ce sont maintenant des images ce matin des mêmes lieux. Les autorités ne nombrent pour l'instant 6 morts, désignent la Russie comme responsable. Les secours sont en train de travailler sur place, mais ils peinent à progresser en raison de munitions non explosées et de risques d'effondrement. Dans ce conflit, le président ukrainien Volodymyr Zelensky dénonce des crimes de guerre, notamment à Mariupol, l'utilisation d'armes interdites, des civils pris pour cible de manière délibérée, des accusations graves. Plusieurs enquêtes sont en cours en Ukraine, sur le terrain, pour documenter ces crimes supposés avec l'espoir un jour d'un procès. Reportage Mathieu Boisseau, Maëlys Septembre.
Du bombardement de la maternité de Mariupol, provoquant au moins 3 morts, dont cette femme enceinte et son bébé. À cette famille tuée à Irpin alors qu'elle tentait seulement de fuir, une très large partie de l'Ukraine est aujourd'hui une scène de crimes, de possibles crimes de guerre, déjà au centre de multiples enquêtes. Le week-end dernier, dans les rues de Mykolaïv, l'une de nos équipes a suivi ce soldat ukrainien, au lendemain de frappes qui ont touché un quartier d'habitation.
Une roquette peut atteindre une cible à 60 km.
Dans sa main, un appareil photo, et dans sa tête, l'espoir de conduire un jour Vladimir Poutine devant un tribunal.
On documente les crimes des Russes contre les civils. On collecte les preuves pour les futurs procès.
Pour démontrer un crime de guerre, recenser la mort de civils ne suffit pas. Il faut prouver qu'elle est volontaire, qu'un ordre a été donné de les cibler, qu'il ne s'agit pas de victimes collatérales. Les témoignages de soldats capturés, comme ces Russes présentés à la presse, sont de précieux éléments, mais pas les seuls. Les habitants, les journalistes, tous ceux qui disposent d'images du conflit peuvent fournir des indices. Déjà presque 2000 signalements reçus, selon la procureure générale ukrainienne, même si les recherches sur le terrain sont difficiles et dangereuses.
Les troupes russes utilisent par exemple des armes interdites par le droit international, comme les armes à sous-munitions. L'armée russe sait aussi pertinemment qu'elle a bombardé et bombarde encore des civils et des infrastructures civiles.
Les investigations sont aussi menées par des ONG hors d'Ukraine. À Berlin, cet enquêteur d'Amnesty International vérifie l'authenticité de vidéos parmi des milliers sur les réseaux sociaux. Date, localisation, comme le bombardement de l'hôpital de Mariupol.
Je vois ici qu'il y a deux bâtiments reliés par une petite passerelle. Donc je cherche sur les images satellites un ensemble de la même forme. Nous avons aussi des experts en balistique qui nous aident à analyser le type de missile à partir des fragments.
En 2018, l'ONG était même parvenue à reconstituer en images de synthèse une prison secrète du régime syrien de Bachar el-Assad grâce aux témoignages de rescapés. Il n'existait pourtant que cette vue satellite de ce site. Les éléments collectés en Ukraine mèneront-ils un jour à un procès? Impossible à dire. La Cour pénale internationale a ouvert une enquête depuis le 3 mars.
On retrouve Damien Coquet dans 5 minutes pour la suite du journal. Tout de suite, c'est le décryptage. Avec vous ce matin, Bilal Taradé. Bonjour Bilal. Vous nous emmenez du côté russe de la guerre en Ukraine aujourd'hui. D'abord, d'un point de vue militaire et stratégique, comment est-ce qu'on peut résumer la situation dans laquelle se trouvent les Russes après 3 semaines et demie de guerre en Ukraine?
Écoutez, globalement, le front semble figé, les troupes russes n'avancent pas, ou alors très peu. J'imagine qu'on va le voir sur la carte qui va s'afficher à côté de moi. Voilà. Donc les Russes sont toujours bloqués autour de Kiev, ici au nord-ouest, en banlieue, dans une banlieue qui s'appelle Irpin, et ici à l'est, dans une banlieue qui s'appelle Bovary. Et on le voit depuis plusieurs semaines, ce sont deux localités qui résistent de manière extrêmement déterminée face aux Russes. Et juste pour information, ce sont deux banlieues qui sont chacune à peu près à peine 15 km du centre-ville de Kiev. Tcherniv résiste toujours, Kharkiv résiste toujours. Ce front ici au Donbass, il est stable depuis le début de l'offensive russe parce que ça fait, il faut le rappeler, ça fait depuis 2014 que l'armée ukrainienne est déjà en guerre contre les séparatistes des républiques de Donetsk et Luhansk, des républiques autoproclamées. Sur le front sud, alors on a des bombardements aériens toujours sur Mykolaiv, qui est la porte vers Odessa. Et bien sûr, il y a la situation à Mariupol, qui est toujours donc assiégée par la terre et par un ultimatum aux Ukrainiens pour que Mariupol capitule. Et en fait, leur argument, c'est de demander aux Ukrainiens d'être raisonnables. Je mets ça entre guillemets. Cet argument a été, cette proposition d'ultimatum a été rejetée par l'Ukraine, qui dit qu'elle ne déposera jamais les armes. Alors en fait, ce qui se passe, c'est que là, on rentre dans le récit que font les Russes de cette guerre, qu'ils n'appellent d'ailleurs pas une guerre, mais une opération militaire spéciale, dans leur narratif, c'est-à-dire en fait finalement de faire reposer la responsabilité des combats, et on les voit, c'est-à-dire des morts, y compris des morts civiles, sur les Ukrainiens, sur le fait que les Ukrainiens ne veulent pas être raisonnables, encore une fois je cite entre guillemets, et ne veulent pas déposer les armes.
Alors précisément sur le narratif, sur la rhétorique, on l'a vu encore ces jours-ci, le président Poutine ne varie pas d'un iota.
Non, pas du tout. On le voit ici, il commémorait ce vendredi les 8 ans de l'annexion de la Crimée, et donc il était, alors là on ne le voit pas trop, mais il était sous une banderole qui disait non au nazisme, et c'est toujours ce même vocabulaire, le nazisme, on la voit ici, écrit en cyrillique, donc c'est toujours le génocide au Donbass, c'est la lutte contre le fascisme, c'est la lutte contre le nazisme. Alors ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que je discutais hier avec une Russe, qui m'a dit cette phrase qui est assez saisissante. Elle me disait, mais vous, les Occidentaux, vous découvrez ça aujourd'hui, alors que nous, cela fait 20 ans qu'on vit dans ce théâtre. Et elle a employé ce mot théâtre, et quand on voit la théâtralisation de la propagande de Vladimir Poutine, on comprend que c'est un mot qui est lourd de sens. Et je vous invite d'ailleurs à relire Anna Politkovskaya, qui est donc cette journaliste russe d'opposition qui a été assassinée en 2006. Dès 2004, donc dès la première réélection de Vladimir Poutine, elle écrivait que Vladimir Poutine se comporte comme Staline, qui, rappelons-le, s'est battu contre Adolf Hitler, et que le Poutine au pouvoir, c'était finalement le retour du système soviétique.
En quelques mots, Bilal, on y reviendra peut-être plus largement à 8h30. Le président ukrainien Volodymyr Zelensky a sollicité ce week-end la médiation d'Israël, qui en réalité tente déjà de jouer les médiateurs dans ce conflit. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut penser de cette proposition ukrainienne depuis Moscou?
Alors écoutez, très très brièvement, il faut déjà rappeler que Naftali Bennett a été le premier
Отдел кадров.
Алло, здравствуйте, по вакансии звоню.
Добрый день. По какой вакансии?
По вакансии комплектовщик мебели, упаковщик.
Сколько вам лет и ранее вы где работали?
37 лет. Ну, вообще, я как бы музыкант, ну, короче, я работал раньше на производстве мебельном, чуть-чуть гитары, на производстве гитары, в общем, я работал.
Вот по поводу нашей работы, это физически тяжелый труд, так как у нас идет корпусная мебель. Не пугает вас это?
Меры безопасности у вас там соблюдаются? Ну, перчатки там и так далее, просто так интересно.
Да, конечно, это все есть. Если вас заинтересовало, вы можете подойти. Лучше подойти с 9:30 до 10:30 и с часу до 3, чтобы непосредственно переговорить с руководителем производства.
Ну понятно. Угу. То есть сегодня уже с часу до 3 только, да? Ну понял.
Нет, вы можете завтра подойти.
Понятно. Я понял. Ну ладно. Ну как бы, ну ладно, завтра удобнее. Ладно, с 10 до полчаса до 10:30. И...
Так, вам объяснить, как проехать к нам?
Лучше, да, тут непонятно просто, да.
Территориальный магазин «Тройка». В сторону Южной автостанции, когда едете?
Вспомнил, это на трамвае там...
Да, остановка магистральная. Торговый центр «Ижмебель», «Мега Хэн», «Смайл» на углу.
Да, понял. Да.
Вдоль этого здания в сторону улицы Маяковского до мостика.
Ну ладно, разберемся. 1Б, правильно, да, тут написано?
1Б, да. Как подъедете, вы перезвоните, мы вас направим, если вы потеряетесь.
Понял. Хорошо. Ладно тогда. Магистральная, хорошо, понял.
Да, остановка магистральная.
До мостика, а потом после мостика это что?
Нет, до мостика, раздвижные ворота.
У вас там цех, как бы, да, цех там, понимаю?
Перед раздвижными воротами есть крылечко ООО «Мебель».
Ага, понял.
На охране скажете, что в отдел кадров и на 3-й этаж.
Понял, да, хорошо, понял. Спасибо, Рахмат. Да, приходи, все, да, наоборот, просто, да. Наоборот, да. Рука загрузила, наоборот, Ладно, тогда сейчас как? Сейчас это, да, ладно, да. Просто все, наоборот, так Наоборот, да. Вот он понял, что представляет. Так я понял, о чем же. Вот это есть сиси-пуси. Алёха. Ну, стало пошевелиться. Надо чуть-чуть пошевелиться.